Welcome to today's model showcase. Alright, I know it doesn't look like it, but this is a Wraithknight. This is my Exodite Knight. The video isn't up yet, at least not by the time I'm recording this, and probably won't be up by the time this one's released. But I do have an Exodite army, and part of the history of the Exodites and the fluff includes basically small titans about the size of a Wraithknight. And they're called Exodite Knights, and that is what this is supposed to represent. So I actually did a lot of work to magnetize this as well. So I'm going to kind of position the camera here and get it set up so you can see some of the different options. I'll kind of showcase them up here. So I'll just move this here. The first thing I did is I made sure that I magnetized all the gun barrels. So whether it's the Wraith cannons, the Sun cannon, or here's the Shuriken catapults and Shuriken cannon and Star cannons, or scatter lasers, they're all magnetized. Now I magnetized them in two different ways because not only did I want the barrel to come off, but I also wanted the housing itself to come off. And the reason for that is that I actually have 4 arms to play with here, because if I don't want this arm, if I wanted to put the heavy Wraith cannons on, well, I'd need to put the heavy Wraith cannon arm on, and if I wanted to put the scatter laser back on, I need to be able to put that there. So I need to be able to move the housing of the guns left and right, back and forth across the different arms that I had. So that is the very first element of magnetization. So to make this a little bit easier to review, I'm going to go ahead and pull all the arms off and bring this up a little closer. Okay. The first thing is the head. Now, I did decide to magnetize it, not because I can swap it or anything, but I was a little worried about it being knocked off or broken. So the best thing to do, I thought, was just turn it into an action figure kind of and put a magnet on the head. Okay, so there is the Wraithknight head that comes with it. I used that as the top of the actual head. What I did is I used sheet styrene, 10,000th sheet styrene, 2 layers. The first layer is in the back here. It goes from one corner to the other, wraps completely around, and then is glued in against the edge of the Wraithknight's head. The second one is another sheet of 10,000 styrene on either side of the face, glued in to make that nice little black visor, and then a very, very narrow piece of strip styrene right under the lid, or the top of his head. That kind of tied it all together and covered up some of the edges. Used some green stuff back here to angle out or mold the very ends to give it a little bit of curve there. And that disguised it from Wraithknight head to more of a Titan head, much like the Exodite Knights in a lot of the pictures that I've seen. So, and then I just angled that on so that its eyes are focused about 24 to 30 inches away, which is about where most of the combat occurs with this. Now, another safety feature I put in are these shoulder pads. They're magnetized as well, because when you have to use these very, very large magnets to hold not only the mass of the arm, but the mass of the weapons it carries. And that is really strong. So early on, I noticed that trying to take those off, I could accidentally break off the shoulder pads. So what I did is I actually put a magnet in the front, over on the shoulder, and up here on the corner, and then built up the back corner with green stuff to make sure that it sits nice and even. And to make these, I used the hip and shoulder pauldrons that came with the kit and just basically layered them to come up with the shoulder pad. So both sides are that way. Now, you'll notice there's no jump pack. I replaced all that completely and just filled in the back end here with several of those Eldar flasks all the way around. And the fin I made out of balsa. Now what I did, or it's not balsa, I'm sorry, basswood. Now that fin, I took the pattern of the Phantom Titan, and when I looked at, I got a picture of the actual part of the fin, and I shrunk it down so that I could create a template that I could literally tape to a piece of basswood, and then on a jigsaw went ahead and carved it out, or cut it out, and then sanded down the edges to get the profiles I needed, sanding the it a little thinner through here, a little thicker front and top, and then rounded the edges enough to make it look like the Wraithknight components and the other Phantom Titan. And then I used a metal rod to drill into the back of the chest plate in 2 spots to pin that in so that it doesn't just snap off, and then filled in the back around it with green stuff to shape that out. Okay. So this actually looks a lot like the Firegale version of the old Exodite Knight. I don't quite like the look of the Firegale, the way it's modeled in the Epic models, but this is my interpretation of that particular Titan. Now, a couple other things, small details that I changed, is the kneecaps are on upside down on purpose. I just think it looks a little bit better than the one that came with the kit. Again, trying to get a slightly different look and feel to it. And the front shield for the groin, I used the green stuff to create a mold, and then made copies of it for the thigh shields, and left nothing in the back there. In the back of the front shield, I was able to make a green stuff banner and decal it up, paint it up with some of the some decals and elder symbol for my Exodites. That symbol there is the symbol of their Lilith. No, it's Lilith, I think. I keep forgetting. It's Lilith, because Lilith is Lilith Hesperax, Dark Eldar. So this is Lilith. She's the Eldar goddess of dreams, and her symbol is the moon, but that's the rune that's specific to her. And so what I did is I also took here, I took the Tears of Isha kind of symbol, took the tear off, put the moon in its place, there, and then extended it down with the rest of the Lilith rune to make my Exodite symbol. That's the symbol of my Exodite army. So, alright, so the other thing I did is I took off what I thought were really ugly protrusions, all these huge gemstones that used to be on the side here of the ankles and the thighs. I just completely sanded those down and got rid of them completely. Cleaned up the look of that model a lot. Personally, that's the way I liked it. Not saying I have to do that to all the models, but for what I was trying to accomplish with this particular model, I went with getting rid of those protrusions. I really didn't like them. Now, the one thing that, of course, I went on and put in the Wraith Sword, or Ghost Glaive, I guess is what you call it, and just hand painted that up a little bit. I think it looks kind of cool, but I wanted to have something a little bit different, so I worked on this. Still a work in progress, not quite done, but that is my Eldar Glaive. So again, I still have to do the power aspect, power sword effects up here, but in general it's fairly well done. I have to do some highlighting back here, but that is, I think, what his eventual weapon is going to be. That's the way I'm going to have him out there on the field, carrying that huge weapon. And that'll make him very distinctive compared to some of the other Wraithknight models. Not that it isn't already distinctive, but I think that just really makes the look nice, 100% mine. There's very, very little that's common to this or the other Wraithknights. So, that is my Exodite Knight, and I hope you got some ideas from this video on how you might want to, change out some of the components of other models you may have, that so they don't always have to be stock the way the kit comes out. Some of these modifications were elaborate, some aren't. For example, the shoulder pauldrons. If you're not going to magnetize your arms, you don't have to. You can actually glue them on, but this is just literally gluing one pauldron to the other. A simple change like that, and you get a nice different effect for the shoulders. So it doesn't require a lot of skill sometimes to make simple changes. You know, kneecaps, turning them upside down. You know, no real special skills needed or special tools needed to accomplish that. But there is my Exodite Knight. I hope you like it. Go ahead and comment below. Let me know kind of what your opinions are, what you think, things you may have done similar, or other approaches you may have taken to some of the same challenges I went with. Like, for example, what did you use if you tried to make a back fin for, or any type of large detail part like that back fin? How have you built different heads and such? Let me know. We can have a little chat about it. Until next time, though, share, like, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next model showcase. Thank you. Bye-bye.